It's August 2011, and we are in Alison Oaks attic studio in East Knox County, Knoxville, Tennessee, and we are looking at a long line of paintings, and there is a selection process with them that she is going through now to decide which particular paintings will be put into the Clayton Center for Art at Maryville College for September. This is a long-term series of paintings that she has called Repulsively Beautiful that she has been doing since grad school at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And she is now a professor at Maryville College, and the series continues. You've been doing these for a long time, and I often wondered how much of you is in these actual paintings, how much is autobiographical, and how much is it merely you using yourself as a representation of, say, every woman, or perhaps in the case of this painting, Superwoman.
I think that particular painting, the bag muscle painting, is sort of about an accomplishment, or seeing myself as not necessarily woman. I don't think that you can necessarily tell the sex of that image, which is probably the first time I made a painting where you can't tell the particular sex.
Except for maybe if it was a guy, he did have a bra on.
This is also true. That's probably the only indication of it being a woman. But the initial reaction from it, it's kind of ambiguous. And that's definitely the first time that there's any indication of it being ambiguous. Most of the other paintings are very feminine, very girly. They're about dress up and makeup and cosmetics and other kinds of adornments that generally are associated with the feminine.
Lingerie.
Yes.
Black lingerie.
Those are my Jessica Simpson tights.
Yeah, and razor stubble.
Yes.
Yeah. I do want to say that all of these paintings are oil on 2 foot by 2 foot unglazed ceramic tile, porcelain tile. A very unusual media, but I'm looking at this one right now, and I know that a significant portion of this painting is actually the back color of the unglazed tile itself.
Yeah, that's true. This color right here is pretty much the tile.
That's pretty much the base. Yeah.
These are actually flooring tiles. You can see the back. They're commercial flooring tiles. So they're actually, I mean, porcelain is obviously a very fragile and breakable medium, but these are actually really tough. They're meant to be walked on and stood on. So they actually make a really nice canvas and a really nice painting surface. Although I'm using porcelain to sort of talk about delicacy and fragility as well. So I want there to be a sense of that these can be broken and that they are fragile, even though in reality they're not as fragile as they might seem. They can be broken. I've chipped 1 or 2 of them before, but they're pretty sturdy. People are always scared to hang them or touch them.
Now this one was at the Kinsey Institute for Sex?
Yes, this one just came back from the Kinsey Institute for Sex.
Yeah, and
it's
the
called Open.
Yeah, and there's a mad noise in the background. Those are the studio cats. Fighting studio cats. Okay, we've got this last unfinished one.
Yep, for the Clayton show.
Yeah.
Is control top pantyhose with a tear. Essentially in the place where the reason I would wear a control top pantyhose would be just to suck in the bulge, hold in the bulge. I really like that one because most of the painting is actually not of flesh, but of what is supposed to look like flesh. Sort of flesh-colored tights. And then the sort of center of it is where the actual flesh sort of explodes out of that tight nylon false flesh.
Here's some older ones here. Bruise?
Yeah, that's Bruise and Brawl. This is the original pantyhose one, the first pantyhose one that I did. So that's definitely, the new pantyhose one is definitely playing off of this old idea of having a tear in the place where the actual flaw is the reason that you wear the pantyhose. So a little bit of a varicose vein there. So all of these on this side were done in 2009.
Yeah, and this is the MFA thesis show one. We can tell because there was a frame on it.
Yeah, that needs to come off soon.
Yeah, and oops, a bit of an armpit in the corner there, behind the packing crates. Maryville College has an entirely new arts center with a fantastic gallery space that is actually a double split gallery space that is kind of dynamic in some ways since it is split, but it's also difficult for smaller work, which is why you're figuring on how to have them as groupings instead of individually placed pieces.
I think too, for me, it's more about what images go with what images, what's next for one another, because it really changes in the way that if I had, say, the breast one with the panty one, it's too much sort of exposure and sex next to each other. When I separate them and I put, say, the breast with the back, it creates this total different opposition, this total different feeling. It's more about contrasting front and back, muscles with fat, just two different types of sort of things. And I tend to want things to both go together and contrast. So it's very difficult for me to figure out sort of placement. And most of the shows that I've had, I'm able to put everything in a line, almost like a film strip, with little different blips of the body. And I usually like things to be placed, opposite parts of the body placed next to each other. So you're sort of, when you're looking at them in a line, you're jumping all over the body. So maybe you start at the mouth, you go down to the crotch area, you go to the stomach, you go to the back. So you're sort of moving all around the body, rather than being sort of stuck in one area for the whole show or the whole portion of the show. So there's a lot of editing that goes into figuring out where stuff is going to go.
And the most awesome thing is that the professors at Maryville College will have their students go to your show, and they will have to do all kinds of writing on it.
That's great.
Yeah, and sometimes eventually you find out some of the stuff they've written, and it's pretty cool.